toast, the convicted murderer says. He's, quote, celebrating going home on this new Gascón directive. Yes, violent inmates are pledging toast to the Los Angeles District Attorney and his new policies. A convicted murderer, Philip Dorset, was sentenced to 40 years in prison back in 2005. But he now celebrates Gascón with his cellmate at New Folsom Prison. Take a look.
All right, it's Monday night right here in New Folsom facility, right here with my celly.
Well, no miss.
Some white lightning, the little cup, boom.
Salute.
Celebrating us going home on this Gascón direct. Oh.
I don't know about you, but I can't think of Folsom Prison without thinking of Johnny Cash, but that's beside the point. These two inmates are seen toasting with prison moonshine after Gascón issued a new directive that allows inmates to be resentenced after 15 years. This comes after Gascón's critics have called on him to abandon radical policies that jeopardize the safety of the public by putting violent offenders back onto the streets. Under Gascón's watch, homicides in Los Angeles County are up by 150% just this year, with shooting victims up by nearly 75%. With me now to discuss all of this is a senior legal fellow at the Heritage Foundation, Cully Stimson. Welcome back, Cully.
Thanks for having me.
Great. So this is shocking footage. What were your thoughts when you first saw this video of a jailed killer literally toasting to his potential early release due to the DA with a cup of moonshine? What a slap in the face.
It's the natural and probable consequences of his 9 radical directives, honestly. The sentencing people, allowing people to be let out after serving only 15 years of their long sentences is only one of the 9 rogue and radical things that this rogue prosecutor has been doing, like a lot of these rogue prosecutors, which we've been writing about for a year. So I'm sure this guy is not the only one toasting Gascón's radical and rogue policies.
And talk to me more about this specific policy that the inmate is toasting, the one that allows him to potentially get out after 15 years served, especially when it comes to taking away sentencing enhancements.
Yeah, so there are 9 radical special directives, which are essentially orders to the line DAs. And the one we're talking about is a new directive that came out 1 minute after he was sworn in that said that anyone who has served 15 years of a life or any other sentence, they will look at that case, and then he orders his prosecutors, get this, to join with the defense attorney to move to let him out. Now, I've been a defense attorney and a prosecutor, and I would love it if the prosecutors had joined me when I made my motions as a defense attorney. But we need an adversarial system, and we don't have one with Gascón because he's trying to turn his office into basically a public defender office.
Does that make it harder for law enforcement and for the court system to deter crime when a lot of these violent criminals, they think they can get right in and out of the system?
Well, they can, because number 1, he's eliminated cash bail. Number 2, he's not prosecuting misdemeanors. Number 3, he's not prosecuting any juveniles, 16, 17-year-olds as adults when they commit murder and other heinous crimes. And so, yeah, this is why there's a recall petition against the rogue prosecutor, George Gascón. This is why the sheriff of Los Angeles has joined and led in the recall petition, because his policies, like all the rogue prosecutors around the country, have resulted in crime rising. And these are liberals. These are liberal black and brown people who are leading this recall effort. This is not a right-wing Fox News, Heritage Foundation, OAN move. This is the people who are harmed the most by these rogue policies are inner city black and brown people.
And to that point, even as some of his own deputy DAs as well have joined in lawsuits against Gascón because of how dangerous these policies are. But when we look nationwide, there's a lot of mini Gascóns running around our country, as you've written at great length when it comes to these rogue prosecutors. How exactly big is this threat to our nation right now?
It's big. George Soros and his PACs have been hand-selecting DA races to run rogue prosecutors, rogue, essentially criminal defense attorneys, as pretend prosecutors. And they've succeeded in Chicago with Kim Foxx, in Boston with Rachel Rollins, in Philadelphia with Larry Krasner, the prosecutor in St. Louis. So we're seeing it over and over, Marilyn Mosby in Baltimore. And so crime is understandably skyrocketing in those cities, while crime has been going down across the country for 20 years, and so is incarceration rates, except now in their cities. And that is they are directly responsible for that.
And Gascón, I believe it was just a few weeks, if not a few months ago, he said, "Now I have friends in the White House," and he was specifically referring to Biden and Harris, of course. When we look at, we saw the Biden administration recently talking about reducing when it comes to sentencing for drug offenses. That's been a big push for a lot of Democrats. We see even Vanita Gupta, who's looking at becoming the #3 at the DOJ. In the past, she's called for decriminalization of certain drugs. How will that add to the effect that we're seeing nationwide with some of these big cities with increase in violent crime?
Well, actually, Vanita Gupta is so radical that she's called for the decriminalization of all drugs, and then she lied about during her Senate testimony for confirmation, and then she backed off of it. Look, you know, the threat is not only that Soros is funding as many rogue people as he can to run for DA. There's 2,300 DA offices around the country, and he's funding a lot of these races. But then there might be 94 Senate-confirmed U.S. attorneys who are the federal law enforcement in the cities. And if we get some rogue U.S. attorneys, then you don't even have a federal backstop to clean up the mess in these cities where their violence has spiked because the DAs refuse to play the role of a DA.
And so does this really underscore the importance, when we're at least talking about the DAs in a lot of these counties, for people such as you and me to get involved in our local races? Because I know I'm guilty of this myself. I don't really pay attention a lot of times to a lot of these local races for DA, for a lot of these other positions. Does this really underscore the fact that we should change our mindset when it comes to upcoming races?
Of course. Look, 95% of DA races around the country go unopposed. And for those that do have opponents, the buy-in for one of these races is $20,000, $30,000, $40,000. So Gascón knows, George Soros knows how to spend his money and get a return on investment. He's gotten a big return on investment. He's gotten chaos where he's elected rogue DAs. So yes, and by the way, this is not a liberal or conservative thing or Republican or Democrat thing. This is a law and order versus chaos thing. Because a lot of these good big inner city DAs who are traditional independent law and order DAs are Democrats. And that's fine as long as they enforce the law. But that's not what Gascón and the rest of them want. They want chaos, and that's what they're getting.
Maybe that's why we see the left all the time. They go after the Blue Lives Matter flag, you know, the American flag with the one blue stripe, because for police officers, the blue line, it means walking that fine line and policing that fine line between order and chaos. And maybe that's why Democrats hate it so much. But Cully, thank you so much for joining us tonight, for breaking it all down.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for watching the Heritage Foundation's YouTube channel. With more than 500,000 members, we are the nation's largest conservative research and education institution. We believe the principles and ideas of the American founding are worth conserving and renewing. Please help us further our mission by subscribing to this channel and sharing our videos with your family and friends.